What if one wrong unit cost $125 million on Mars? Tonight, we unpack history's priciest facepalms, from boardrooms to space. Blockbuster laughed at Netflix. The bill came later with interest. A ship stuck sideways froze global trade like a clogged artery. A London skyscraper literally melted car parts with concentrated sunlight. And a single fat-finger trade erased hundreds of millions before lunch. We'll show the moment it snapped, who decided, and why. But the twist isn't just failure, it's the price tag. Stay and you'll never see a tiny mistake the same. NASA Mars Climate Orbiter lost to metric imperial mix-up. About $125 million vanished into Mars's sky because of units. In 1999, NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter approached too low and burned. A Lockheed Martin team used pound-force seconds, JPL expected Newton seconds. The mismatch slowly nudged trajectory calculations like steering with foggy glasses. Controllers in Pasadena trusted numbers that hid a tiny daily drift. By arrival, the craft skimmed atmosphere, not the planned ellipse. One dashboard read feet, another assumed meters. A quiet, computational betrayal. Afterward, NASA rewrote processes, forcing unit checks across contractor boundaries. It's a cautionary tale with thrusters, spreadsheets, and unforgiving Martian air. Ronald Wayne selling his 10% Apple stake for $800. A future trillion-dollar company slipped away for about $800. In 1976 Cupertino, Ronald Wayne sold his 10% Apple stake. He had drafted the partnership agreement for Jobs and Wozniak. Fearing personal liability for debts, he chose safety over speculation. Reports say another payment later bought out future claims as well. Apple soon incorporated, sales grew, and the early garage myth hardened. Wayne kept a measured life in Nevada, designing stamps and slots. What looked like prudence then became Silicon Valley's favorite what if. Sometimes the risk isn't building the company, it's staying aboard. Decca Records rejecting the Beatles' audition as guitar groups fade. Millions in future royalties evaporated when a label said no. In London, 1962, Decca auditioned the Beatles on New Year's Day. Producer Mike Smith recorded them. Manager Brian Epstein waited anxiously outside. Decca reportedly preferred Brian Poole and the Tremolos, citing market trends. The quote about guitar groups fading became industry folklore, endlessly repeated. Weeks later, George Martin signed them to EMI's Parlophone label. Singles erupted, Beatlemania followed, and Missed Opportunity became legend. Decca survived, but that tape still hums like a costly echo. Imagine passing on Liverpool Lads, then hearing She Loves You everywhere. Blockbuster passing on buying Netflix for $50 million. A rental empire shrugged, and a streaming future left town. Around 2000 in Dallas, Reed Hastings pitched Netflix to Blockbuster's leadership. The reported $50 million price sounded cute beside endless late fees. CEO John Antioco listened politely. Executives allegedly laughed afterward. Netflix stuck with mailers, engineering its recommendation engine and subscriber habit. Then broadband spread, and streaming flipped the whole business overnight. Blockbuster tried total access late, but debt chained every pivot. One meeting, one laugh, and an empire's blue walls dimmed. Turns out envelopes beat stores, and pixels finished the job. Yahoo refusing to buy Google for under $1 billion. Search advertising fortune slipped because a portal hesitated, then pivoted late. In the early 2000s, Yahoo weighed buying Google during negotiations. Reported offers and counteroffers danced around valuations under $1 billion. Yahoo later outsourced search to Google, then scrambled to catch up. Paid search exploded, turning queries into highly targeted ad auctions. By then, Mountain View had the flywheel and the data. Yahoo cycled through strategies, acquisitions, and interim CEOs seeking momentum. The timing window closed fast, like a camera shutter on dusk. Sometimes the biggest loss is saying maybe until opportunity leaves. Kodak invents digital camera, then shelves it to protect film. A company built tomorrow's camera, then guarded yesterday's profits instead. In Rochester, 1975, engineer Stephen Sasson built a filmless prototype. It stored grainy images on cassette, but it worked. Executives feared cannibalizing film, a cash cow across American living rooms. Kodak filed patents, dabbled in sensors, and kept margins on paper. Then, pixels replaced processing labs, and the golden hour vanished. Rivals embraced digital compacts, while Kodak clung to familiar chemistry. Bankruptcy arrived, framed by missed pivots and astonishing early genius. They had the future on a bench. They chose the past. Nokia missing the smartphone pivot after iPhone's debut. Finland's mobile king watched its market slip from dominant hands. After 2007, iPhone and Android reshaped expectations for handheld computers. Nokia's Symbian felt dated, clunky, and slow for developers. Stephen Elop's burning platform memo urged a jump to Windows Phone. The partnership limited apps just as ecosystems decided winners worldwide. Hardware still shined in Helsinki, software gravity pulled elsewhere. Market share slid, and the handset division sold to Microsoft. A ringtone that once ruled buses faded under App Store tides. Great cameras couldn't beat the gravitational pull of developer networks. AOL-Time Warner merger that vaporized over $100 billion. One mega merger erased value faster than dial-up connected on weekends. In 2000, AOL acquired Time Warner at the dot-com peak. Paper synergies promised cable, content, and internet in perfect harmony. Then, ad markets crashed, and accounting rules met stubborn realities. Cultures clashed from Dulles to Manhattan boardrooms over strategy. Write-downs followed, and extensions defended a shrinking, awkward hybrid. Eventually, the companies de-merged, untangling brands and cable assets. It's the corporate version of marrying during a fireworks finale, beautiful in theory, blinding in practice, and costly afterward. New Coke, launch that alienated loyal drinkers and tanked sales. A sweeter formula nearly soured a century of brand loyalty. In 1985 Atlanta, Coca-Cola replaced its flagship with New Coke. Taste test said winners. Reality said rituals and memory mattered more. Pepsi smiled on air while Coke phone lines melted with complaints. CEO Roberto Goizueta reversed course, restoring Coca-Cola Classic within months. Conspiracy theories swirled. Executives swore the misstep was genuine. The lesson landed. Taste isn't only flavor, it's identity. Shelves turned into battlegrounds, and nostalgia won the rematch. Cans changed back, but that summer remains fizzy marketing folklore. Ford Edsel launch becomes a multi-hundred-million marketing flop. Detroit threw millions at a car buyers didn't actually want. Launched in 1957, the Ford Edsel split the market awkwardly. Its vertical grille drew jokes. The name drew confusion and shrugging. A recession hit, and mid-tier models felt overpriced overnight. Dealers struggled with parts, marketing promises, and mismatched positioning. Production stopped early, leaving collectors and punchlines in equal measure. Ford learned, segmentation isn't magic. It needs timing and trust. Years later, the Edsel became a museum badge for misreading. In showrooms, curiosity arrived. Contracts didn't follow it home. Hubble Space Telescope's blurry mirror requiring costly shuttle fix. Space sent back blur until astronauts carried glasses into orbit. After launch in 1990, Hubble's mirror had spherical aberration. A tiny polishing error at Perkin-Elmer produced breathtakingly wrong focus. Scientists cringed. Late-night hosts smiled. Taxpayers asked hard questions. In 1993, shuttle astronauts installed corrective optics and instruments. Back on Earth, NASA reworked testing protocols and contractor oversight. Soon, images of pillars, galaxies, and nebulae flooded textbooks. A global blush turned into one of science's finest comebacks. The telescope finally saw clearly. So did its managers. Ariane 5's first launch explodes from a 64-bit conversion error. Europe's new rocket shredded itself because software reused old assumptions. In 1996 French Guiana, Ariane 5 veered off course seconds after liftoff. A 64-bit number crashed into a 16-bit conversion overflow. Inertial reference code from Ariane 4 wasn't safe at new speeds. Engines gimbaled wildly, telemetry spiked, and range safety destroyed it. Investigators published unusually open findings, pushing industry-wide software rigor. Subsequent flights succeeded, but that first plume still haunts dashboards. Even rockets suffer when legacy settings meet unfamiliar physics. Quickly, a tiny integer boundary became very real: fire over jungle. Knight Capital's trading algorithm meltdown burned $440 million in minutes. 45 minutes of code chaos torched hundreds of millions instantly. On a summer morning, Knight Capital deployed faulty trading software. An old flag reactivated test logic, blasting orders into markets. Stocks spiked and crashed as algorithms chased phantom liquidity. By midday, losses topped reported $400 million, forcing emergency funding. Regulators reviewed safeguards. Rivals absorbed order flow and opportunities. The firm soon merged away, its name reduced to a caution. In Jersey City, engineers read logs like firefighters read smoke. Software moves money now. Toggles decide between profit and crater. Everviant blocking the Suez Canal for 6 days. Global trade paused 6 days because one ship wedged sideways. In March 2021, Evergiven blocked Egypt's Suez Canal. High winds and bank effects pushed the bow into beige sand. Traffic jammed in both directions. Satellite maps looked like arteries. Egyptian tugboats, dredgers, and spring tides finally freed her. The ship anchored in Great Bitter Lake while investigators interviewing crew. Insurance lawyers circled terms like general average and canal fees. On TikTok and terminals, everyone learned one narrow waterway matters. Sometimes the world's bottleneck is literally a ship's bow. Tacoma Narrows Galloping Gertie Bridge collapse from aeroelastic flutter. A bridge danced itself apart in the Puget Sound wind. In 1940, Washington State, Tacoma Narrows Bridge began oscillating dramatically. Engineers misread aeroelastic flutter, favoring sleek decks over stiffness. Cameras captured twisting girders before the middle span collapsed. A dog stayed behind. Rescuers couldn't reach him safely. Afterward, designers embraced wind tunnel testing and tuned mass dampers. The nickname Galloping Gertie stuck, equal parts science class and caution. Today's spans carry lessons embedded in cables, trusses, and equations. Wind doesn't care about budgets. It cares about resonance. London Millennium Bridge wobble and the multi-million fix. Londoners stepped onto a new bridge and felt it dance. In 2000, the Millennium Bridge opened across the Thames near St. Paul's. Crowds synchronized their footsteps subconsciously, amplifying sideways sway. Engineers Arup closed it, installed dampers, and modeled human feedback. Tabloids joked, pedestrians gripped rails. The skyline watched, bemused. After strengthening, it reopened, steady as a metronome in rain. The fix cost millions, but the lesson was priceless. Humans act like moving loads, not polite statues on steel. Designed for people, and the physics of people follows. London walkie-talkie skyscraper melting cars with focused sunlight. Sunlight literally cooked plastic panels on a street in London. At 20 Fenchurch Street, a curved facade focused midday rays, a Jaguar mirror warped. A doormat smoked. Eggs reportedly sizzled. Architect Raphael Vignoli acknowledged the glare issue after complaints. Developers added a brise soleil, a shading system across the facade. Locals nicknamed it the walkie-scorchy before the fix stuck. It's a parable about geometry, glass, and urban microclimates. Designers planned reflections. They didn't plan for a London heat ray. Sometimes the shape of a building writes its own headline. Vasa warship capsizes minutes after launch due to top-heavy design. A royal flagship tipped, sank, and preserved a museum in time. In 1628 Stockholm, the Vasa capsized minutes after departure. Tall gun decks and insufficient ballast made her dangerously top-heavy. A gust pushed the hull. Water poured through open gun ports. Witnesses watched from Gamla stan as cannons slipped into harbor. She was raised, centuries later, remarkably intact in cold, brackish water. The Vasa Museum now tells a story of ambition and math. Shipwrights measured strength in tradition. Nature graded with physics. A king's hurry met a hull's limits, and water won. Challenger O-ring warning ignored, costing lives and the shuttle program. A nation froze as a shuttle disintegrated 73 seconds after launch. In 1986 Florida, Challenger lifted from Cape Canaveral into cold air. O-rings in a booster stiffened, allowing flame to escape outward. Engineers like Roger Beaujolais had warned about low-temperature performance. Morton Thiokol and NASA decisions under schedule pressure now drew scrutiny. Investigations reshaped safety culture, flight readiness, and communication protocols. Families, students, and teachers watched, remembering Krista McAuliffe's mission. Spaceflight kept going, but it carried their names quietly. Cold weather, hot gases, and human systems collided in seconds. Deepwater Horizon blowout. From lapses in well control and testing, oil gushed into the Gulf after a blowout nobody contained quickly. In 2010, BP's Macondo well failed beneath Deepwater Horizon. Cement integrity, pressure tests, and negative test interpretations were disputed. Explosions killed workers. The rig sank, leaving a burning slick. Remote-operated vehicles struggled at depth. Containment domes iced up. Millions watched live feeds of a broken riser spewing brown plumes. Officials tried top kill, junk shot, and finally, a relief well. Courtrooms later parsed responsibility among BP, Transocean, and Halliburton. The Gulf carried scars, tar balls, and long arguments over recovery. Exxon Valdez grounding after fatigue and navigational errors. Prince William Sound turned black after a tanker tore open. In March 1989, Exxon Valdez struck Bligh Reef off Alaska. Captain Joseph Hazelwood left the bridge. A tired mate steered. Radar reportedly wasn't engaged. Ice lanes and deadlines pressured decisions. Crude oil fanned across coves, coating otters, eagles, and rocks. Coast Guard logs, tug dispatches, and weather windows complicated response. Skimmers, booms, and volunteers battled currents and spreading sheen overnight. Courtrooms later parsed fault, from company policies to crew fatigue. Alaska's fishermen measured losses in empty nets and long winters. Samsung Galaxy Note 7 battery failures trigger global recall. Airlines started announcing bans before regulators made them official worldwide. In 2016, Note 7 phones began overheating, swelling, and igniting unexpectedly. Investigations pointed to tight packing and flawed separator layers inside. Two different suppliers' batteries created two different failure modes simultaneously. Samsung issued recalls, then reissued them after replacement fires appeared. Retail counters piled with returns. Airports showed stern gate warnings. Engineers redesigned enclosures, software, charging limits, and testing protocols extensively. The brand recovered later, but that model became shorthand worldwide. A pocket computer reminded everyone lithium-ion chemistry demands respect, always. Boeing 737 MAX design choices ground a fleet and cost billions. Runways worldwide saw parked jets wearing engine covers and tags. After 2 crashes, regulators grounded Boeing's newest 737 variant globally. MCAS software pushed the nose down using 1 sensor input. Pilots fought trim wheels, alarms and stick shakers erupted simultaneously. Families, airlines, and engineers scrutinized documentation, training, and assumptions afterward. Boeing rewrote code, added redundancy, and updated cockpit procedures extensively. Certification flights returned gradually, region by region, after reviews concluded. Shareholders tracked costs while assembly lines adjusted delivery tempos carefully. The humble angle of attack vane became aviation's most argued part suddenly. Intel Pentium FDIV bug forces costly CPU replacements. Spreadsheets suddenly disagreed with calculators by tiny, stubborn margins unexpectedly. In the mid-1990s, a professor flagged Pentium division errors publicly. Thomas Nicely's work revealed specific decimals failed in hardware operations. News spread fast. Customers demanded replacements or refunds nationwide. Intel initially minimized impact, then expanded its replacement policy globally. OEMs reworked shipments, while tech forums tallied failing cases carefully. The flaw lived in lookup tables baked into silicon itself. Later steppings fixed it. Reputational math took longer, healing time. A few wrong digits pushed a giant toward customer humility. British government's Brown's bottom selling gold at market lows. Treasury vaults emptied as auctions met bargain-level gold prices then. Around 1999, Chancellor Gordon Brown announced large planned sales publicly. Markets anticipated supply, pushing prices lower before bids arrived actually. The Bank of England handled auctions under a transparent timetable. Years later, charts showed those tranches near cycle bottoms historically. Opponents dubbed it Brown's bottom. Supporters cited diversification benefits then. The debate still just mimirs whenever bullion rallies on headlines again. What looked prudent portfolio policy became political shorthand afterward, nationwide. Timing, not timing, carried most of the historical sting here. French railways ordered trains too wide for platforms. New regional trains scraped reality before carrying a single passenger. In France, SNCF and RFF measured stations with imperfect data. Older platforms sat closer. Drawings reportedly missed legacy clearances entirely. When rolling stock arrived, gaps and scrapes appeared during tests. Crews milled platform edges along hundreds of affected stations nationwide. Tabloids laughed. Commuters asked why rulers weren't used earlier. Seriously. Budgets bent toward civil works rather than shiny new cabins. Procurement memos turned into memes about millimeters and maps everywhere. Sometimes the track problem isn't track, it's drawings actually. Berlin-Brandenburg Airport delays turn into a multi-billion money pit. Germany's new capital airport stayed closed while costs kept climbing. Originally slated around 2011, BER opened almost a decade late. Fire safety systems miswired. Smoke extraction confused engineers and inspectors. Cables crisscrossed ceilings without labels, like spaghetti over girders everywhere. Political committees shuffled managers while contractors traded blames repeatedly publicly. Mock shops opened to test operations. Real flights remained elsewhere. When doors finally opened, a pandemic kept halls half empty. The Willy Brandt name carried pride and long, awkward headlines. Airports, it turns out, can miss their own departure times. Montreal's Big O Olympic Stadium that bled debt for decades. A sporting celebration left a bill that outlived several mayors. For 1976, Montreal built Roger Taillibert's ambitious Olympic Stadium centerpiece. The leaning tower and retractable roof struggled through endless fixes. Costs soared. Tobacco taxes and bonds carried long repayment schedules. Mayor Jean Drapeau promised no deficits. Reality had other plans. Baseball's Expos played beneath fabric tears and winter closures repeatedly. Decades later, the nickname Big O felt painfully accurate citywide. Architecture students visit. Accountants still wince at the spreadsheets involved. Grand gestures can linger as maintenance schedules and debt service. Spanish ghost airports, like Ciudad Real and Castellón, stand empty. Runways stretched across empty plains, waiting for planes that never came. During a boom, regional governments financed ambitious passenger terminals everywhere. Ciudad Real's private airport opened, then slipped into receivership quickly. Castellón unveiled statues and runways, then struggled for flights afterward. Promoters imagined tourism surges. Airlines calculated load factors colder realistically. Advertising boards faded, while weeds tested runway edge lights slowly. Occasionally, film crews or storage leases kept doors unlocked temporarily. Auditors tallied subsidies. Locals shrugged at expensive silence nearby airfields. Ambition landed. Schedules and passengers didn't follow the script afterward. Japan's JCOM trade typo costing hundreds of millions overnight. One wrong order sent markets spinning during a Tokyo morning. In 2005, Mizuho Securities misentered shares and price simultaneously disastrously. They offered 610,000 shares at 1 yen instead, inadvertently publicly. Canceling proved difficult. Exchange systems struggled with reversal limits then. Arbitrageurs pounced. Losses mounted while phones stayed hot instantly. Lawsuits followed, challenging platform design and operator safeguards fiercely. Risk managers rewrote checklists, focusing on fat finger prevention protocols. Bulletin boards memorialized the ticker. Classrooms used case notes afterward. A stray keystroke briefly outperformed every trading strategy in town. HP's autonomy acquisition ends in an $8.8 billion write-down. A headline deal turned sideways before the ink fully dried. In 2011, Hewlett-Packard acquired Autonomy, a British software company headquartered Investigator. Soon after, allegations of accounting irregularities dominated conference calls everywhere. HP recorded a massive write-down and pursued legal action aggressively. Former executives defended practices. Courts parsed complex cross-border evidence later. Boards, bankers, and auditors debated valuation versus due diligence rigor. The acquisition's promise faded into filings, hearings, and headlines worldwide. In Silicon Valley, the saga became a cautionary valuation seminar. Big price tags can hide very small, very important details. eBay's Skype deal leads to massive write-downs and resale. An auction giant bought voice calls hoping for bidder synergy. In 2005, eBay purchased Skype from its European founders outright. Sellers listed items. Buyers talked elsewhere, not inside listings meaningfully. The culture fit wobbled. Integration never found everyday utility online. Write-downs arrived. Private investors later took a controlling stake temporarily. Microsoft eventually acquired Skype, steering it toward messaging dominance later. For eBay, the bet read like a mismatched merger experiment. Corporate strategy slides changed. The dial tone moved on quickly. Sometimes conversations don't belong inside the checkout button flow anyway. Daimler-Chrysler merger synergies that never materialized. A transatlantic car marriage promised efficiency, then delivered friction instead. In 1998, Daimler-Benz and Chrysler announced a merger of equals. German engineering met Detroit grit. Cultures clashed in conference rooms. Luxury brands and minivans didn't share platforms as planned efficiently. Leadership changes and strategy shifts unsettled designers and dealers alike. Profits lagged. Patience thinned on both sides of Atlantic eventually. By 2007, Daimler sold Chrysler to Cerberus Capital Management instead. What began as synergy ended as an uneasy, expensive lesson. Even great factories struggle when a boardroom map ignores culture. WeWork's failed IPO and SoftBank's costly rescue. A dazzling valuation unraveled once investors read the paperwork closely. In 2019, WeWork filed, revealing governance and cash burn concerns. Founder Adam Neumann's control structures and side deals raised eyebrows. Roadshows cooled. The IPO withdrew amid mounting skepticism quickly worldwide. SoftBank stepped in with financing and sweeping leadership changes immediately. Leases, build-outs, and community perks strained during market shifts later. Pandemic office emptiness turned flexible desks into heavy liabilities worldwide. Court filings and restructurings followed across multiple jurisdictions repeatedly. The company's story flickered between startup sizzle and lease math. Quibi burns through billions and shuts down in months. A Hollywood startup launched loudly, then faded before summer ended. In 2020, Quibi promised bite-sized shows for phones only initially. Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman led funding and talent rosters. No screenshots, no casting to TVs, and pandemic commutes vanished. Content arrived polished. Habits didn't arrive with equal enthusiasm, unfortunately. Apps added features later, but momentum never fully returned again. By autumn, leadership announced shutdown and asset sales. Abruptly, studios recut rights. Libraries found second homes elsewhere, eventually online. A new format met old truths about attention and platforms. Fire Festival disaster leaves investors and attendees out millions. A luxury island weekend turned into a survival camp overnight. In 2017, Bahamas stages awaited stars and influencers with wristbands. Billy McFarland and partners promised villas, yachts, and exclusivity everywhere. Instead, FEMA tents, wet mattresses, and cold sandwiches greeted arrivals. Artists canceled, customs delays and logistics melted under pressure quickly. Attendees queued for flights, while social feeds documented chaos relentlessly. Lawsuits swelled. McFarland later faced federal charges and sentencing consequences. Locals who built stages and kitchens sought overdue payments desperately. The postcard beaches couldn't mask spreadsheets soaked with red ink. James Howells throws away a hard drive with 7,500 bitcoins. A Welsh landfill may hold a fortune under sodden clay. In 2013, James Howells discarded an old laptop drive accidentally. Backups existed. That particular drive held an early wallet file. As prices surged, the city refused excavation over environmental risks. Howells proposed robotic sorting, insurance, and private funding repeatedly publicly. Council meetings balanced policy, precedent, and landfill safety concerns carefully. Internet forums tracked his appeals like a serialized treasure hunt. Some days, the trove's value equaled neighborhood blocks in Newport. A small gray drive turned into modern folklore about timing. The Maginot Line. Costly fortifications bypassed in weeks. Concrete, rails, and guns faced east, while danger arrived around. France built the Maginot Line after World War I devastation. In 1940, German panzer divisions pushed through the Ardennes instead. Fixed bunkers struggled against fast armor. Radios and air power tactics, commanders had expected a replay. Blitzkrieg wrote a sequel differently. Some sectors held stubbornly. Breakthroughs elsewhere made holding moot quickly. Refugees crowded roads. Columns jammed bridges under bombing raids repeatedly. After armistice, the forts became lessons in strategic inflexibility forever. Defense spending met innovation's curve and slid off the edge. Titanic's lifeboat policy and speed choices before the ice warnings. A luxury liner vanished beneath Atlantic cold on its maiden voyage. In 1912, RMS Titanic struck an iceberg south of Newfoundland. Wireless operators received ice warnings. The ship maintained speed nevertheless. Lifeboats met outdated Board of Trade capacity requirements only barely. Many boats launched partially filled amid confusion and darkness afterward. Captain Edward Smith and officers coordinated evacuations by lists hastily. Nearby, the Californian's role remains debated among historians today still. Carpathia raced through ice to pull survivors from boats overnight. After inquiries, lifeboat rules and radio watches changed worldwide permanently.